Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by Teddy Bear 2 himself, Nick Steblenko.
Donald, it's fire sale time.
I don't really know what you're referring to, but isn't it nice to have a real intro where we get to, mention who's on the show, who's, hosting the show, and not just Radio Universe Matthew Footer. Hi. That was you. That's your introduction.
I haven't had an introduction up to this point, so I think I'll take whatever I can get.
Hello, Radio Universe Matthew Footer. That should have been your intro. Oh, no, it was. You did that.
Fair enough.
Okay, what's the fire sale from, Nick Steblenko? I'm just curious.
Because it's all going to hell, isn't it?
For who?
Fantasy football in general.
Oh, okay.
It's all going to hell.
Okay. I didn't know where you were going with that. We're just how is everybody selling? Are we just nobody's buying?
Yeah, everybody on every one of my teams is just up for grabs now because these injuries have just ravaged me, and I am tired of it. I just don't understand it. I don't get it.
I
tape it up, throw some dirt on it, rub some dirt on it, and get back out there.
Can we trade cross leagues? Because I'm looking to pick up anybody at this
Absolutely.
point. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's going to be a new thing we're going to introduce on StarFantasyLeagues.com is if you hate one of your teams in one of your leagues, just trade with your friend in, another league somewhere.
Yeah. Totally. I think it's a great idea.
I think you should trade Kyle Orton for Kyle Orton.
That's really dumb.
That does sound really dumb.
No, he makes a good point. It kind of is at that point we've had a big enough sample size of most of the guys. Everyone pretty much has played 4 weeks, and that's what they say. So it is that point where.
What do you mean that's what they say? That's what it is. We've been preaching this ever since the preseason. Okay, they being us. You are part of us. You can say we.
Well,
us.
I didn't start in the preseason, quote unquote, so I'm kind of the regular season edition. I was off for the practice.
Yeah, an undrafted free agent. Matthew Footer Oliver over here.
Yeah, we'll actually get to a certain undrafted free agent that will be mentioned later in the show. We are talking Week 6 waiver wire. That's the big part of this show today. You guys yelled at me for saying the waiver wire was the wrong week. I still think it's this week's waiver wire, Week 5.
For Week 6.
You're heading into the next week.
It's the process. It's a process altogether.
But here's the thing.
Week 6 practices start on Monday or Tuesday, and they progress.
We're gonna talk this out. I know our listeners don't really care at all about this argument, but if you think about it, on StarFantasyLeagues.com, waivers lock as soon as the games for Week 5 start, and they don't come off until the end of the Week 5 games. So wouldn't it be Week 5's waiver wire processing?
Nope.
Nobody's going to give me credit for this?
You baffled me on this
All right, I hate all of you. Just so you know, I hate you. But you know what? We're not talking about Week 5 anymore. Oh, wait, yes, we still are because it's early in the week. It's so sad. This is Zach's least favorite time of the year. Of the week.
I still don't understand it. I mean,
what? He's mad that football's 3 days away?
No, I think Tuesday is one of the more exciting days for
waiver wire
fantasy because of waiver wire.
Yeah, definitely.
That is true, but before...
And because I get to throw out a bunch of trades that apparently are worthless and nobody cares about, even though I think they are completely legit.
Yeah, do you remember when Seth Young was on the show and jokingly saying he's offering Eli Manning in every trade that ever happened?
Yeah, should have grabbed that.
Those all
should have done it.
Those all should have been accepted because isn't Eli Manning now a top 10 quarterback again?
Yeah, he makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, I don't feel good about having him on any of my fantasy teams. Ever.
Ben McAdoo's offense is finally working. It's great.
No.
It's awesome.
Is that Eli talking right there?
No, that's just every stupid Giants fan I ever run into. Ben McAdoo's finally getting it done.
All right, I'm glad that you are trashing another offensive coordinator instead of the Bills' offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's true. I am.
Yeah, that's usually your thing on this show.
Yeah.
He saves that for Mondays, though, usually.
After he has an abomination of a game on Sunday.
No, I just like bashing the Bills fans because no matter what, there's always some reason to believe in crap that shouldn't be believed in.
See, you're going a little bit negative, but
I'm angry today.
Okay, I think I went off the deep end on New England Patriot fans or all Boston fans. I won't apologize for that because I meant everything I said yesterday. If you missed the rant, go onto our YouTube page or our SoundCloud page. You'll hear me rant on Boston sports fans, even though I'm from there.
Well, Tom Brady's pastor actually introduced him into the sermon on Sunday.
Get out of here.
I'm not kidding. That's not a joke. Because Tom Brady is a parishioner at this church.
Oh,
and
stop it.
And the pastor stepped up at the end of Mass and said, and we need to say a prayer for our parishioner, Tom Brady.
Oh, my Lord.
He said he's having a tough time, and then he went out and crushed on Sunday night.
All I can say is, oh, my Lord. That's all I've got for him.
Well,
All righty,
we
got to move on. There was a game last night. Somehow this game was a lot closer than the score dictates. Or excuse me, it was a lot further apart than the score dictates. This should have been like a 3-score game, right? Did you watch any of this game last night?
Yeah, I did, but I don't know if I agree with that.
They had 3 touchdowns called back. This team ran absolutely wild. Seattle just they controlled every facet of this football game, aside from 2 or 3 really bad defensive formations where Deshaun Jackson was just wide open.
Here's what I do agree with is that the Seahawks definitely controlled the flow of the game, but for whatever reason, they don't seem to put a ton of points up on the board. And I don't know. I mean, I think that Washington had their shot regardless, and Kirk Cousins didn't turn the ball over, so they had a shot. They were in the game. I don't think they ever should have been, but whatever.
This may be a stupid question, but if you asked any random NFL fan that wasn't like a Seattle Seahawks fan, could they name more than 2 offensive players for Seattle right now that aren't Russell Wilson or Marshawn Lynch?
Yeah,
serious question.
Okay, so you don't think they could name Percy Harvin?
Percy Harvin.
Is
he on the field?
Yeah. He hasn't gotten any migraines this year.
I know. He looked, did you see after that touchdown that got called back? He looked pretty
Which one?
He looked, oh, that's true. He got like 2 or 3 back.
All 3.
Okay. The really long one where he caught it,
Yeah.
he looked like he was like hunched over. He looked a little winded to me.
They had one. The first one got called back. Then they went to him the next play, caught the touchdown. That one got called back. So it was just an unfortunate night for Percy Harvin owners.
Yeah, fantasy owners, poor teams.
Everything pretty much came to fruition what we talked about yesterday. Seattle's ranked first against the run. They only gave up 32 yards rushing, but they're 19th against the pass, and they gave up almost 300 yards. So it's pretty much exactly what you expected from the game.
Yeah, I have written down, they looked beatable. This defense, you just have to – I mean, you can't set up the run to establish the pass of this team. You just can't do it. You have to find your spots. You have to go with a lot of spread formations against this defense. And Deshaun Jackson just kind of ran around, found his spots, and he looked really good in this game.
Yeah, you know who else looked good is Kirk Cousins.
Okay, Kirk Cousins – he's doing some Jekyll and Hyde things, though. He played really horribly against a not-so-good defense, but against one of the best defenses in the league, he looked really serviceable.
I can give an explanation, but I don't necessarily know if it's going to stick.
Yeah.
But he threw 4 interceptions in a Thursday night game. So you can kind of say, well, hey, maybe he didn't have a full week to prepare for that defense. Maybe he wasn't sure what was going on. At the beginning of this game against Seattle, though, he looked like he was going to have that same performance. He was errant with his throws. He was missing receivers. Then he found his rhythm. Once he tossed that pass to Deshaun Jackson, it was kind of like, okay, maybe he's going to get into a rhythm here. Obviously, Seattle just controlled the ball the entire time, and Washington's defensive coordinator apparently does not know how to stop a running quarterback, even though he did it constantly.
Wait, they had a running quarterback? You sure it wasn't a quarterback that's just a running back? Because I'm pretty sure he was just the running back on that team. He was just dominant.
Yeah, I mean, 122 yards. They had 225 yards total rushing. I mean, I believe Wilson set the record for rushing quarterbacks on Monday Night Football.
That makes sense.
Well, they just kept doing the same thing. They kept doing a read option.
Yep.
Or there was actually one play where they pointed out that it was supposed to be a designed run, and he just kept the ball and decided to run. I mean, it's smart. It's a smart play, but you got to come up with a way to stop that. After he's rushing every single time, you got to have your defensive end actually bear down and hold the edge, or you got to have a middle linebacker that's going to play a spy.
Yeah, I was about to, you just took the words out of my mouth.
You have to do that.
Spy.
You can't. Even if they start beating you other ways, they're already gouging you with their running quarterback, so you have to figure it out.
Well, it doesn't hurt when you have Marshawn Lynch continuing to be as dominant as ever, again over 100 yards total and a touchdown. This guy is having an absolutely monster year for somebody that said, basically all the experts said he's done this year, and he is far from done.
Something that's even more impressive was he sat out pretty much the first drive too, which was a little concerning. He was actually on the sidelines riding a bike, wasn't even on the field for the first drive. Came out and then just tore
they
it up.
didn't even need him until later. So, I mean, just after you start getting beat up by a running quarterback like that, then your whole defensive game plan gets thrown for a loop. So they were kind of on their heels the whole game, and not really a question that they were going to lose.
Are there any positives that Washington can take from this game? I mean, the final score was close. I know it was only a 7.5-point spread. They miracle cover at the end with that field goal that never should have happened.
Well, I sound like a broken record, but Kirk Cousins can still play. I know RG3 is going to come back and he's going to be the starter. There's just no question about it.
It's depressing.
It is depressing, though, because it looks like Kirk Cousins can actually play this game. He put over 250 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns, correct?
Yeah, he had 283, I believe.
Yep.
Against the defense that everybody's afraid of. So, yeah, Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, but the potential is there, and he's 0-6 as a starter, so everybody's going to throw that around. It's just not going to be a good situation for him. So somebody's going to have a quarterback on their hands at some point next year.
Speaking of a quarterback, I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on Ryan Clark's quotes after the game last night. I know this is a little bit out there because he just played him, but Ryan Clark, who's been known to speak up quite a bit, especially he goes on ESPN all the time and has these really crazy quotes. Mm-hmm. He called Russell Wilson the best player in the NFL right now.
Well, I mean, there's a case that can be made, but I don't know if I agree with it.
The best player in the NFL.
I think Andrew Luck's having a hell of a season over there in Indy, so there's some competition there.
Okay, wow, you're going to Andrew Luck first.
No, I think he's having a great season. I'm just throwing out a name.
Okay.
I mean, we could have that discussion another time, but yeah, Russell Wilson as a player, all-around player, last night he looked like the best player in the NFL, but Washington wasn't doing anything to stop him.
That's true.
I haven't seen a defense that just cues in on him yet. So I don't know. We'll see. They haven't really played anybody with a strong front seven, a strong defensive line that can actually put pressure on him.
I disagree.
So,
San Diego actually handled Russell Wilson pretty well in that game. They beat him.
Enough.
They did.
Fair enough.
I believe we already had this discussion a few weeks ago.
Thanks for burying the lead there.
Definitely. Another player actually talked about Russell Wilson as the best young quarterback, I believe. I want to say it was DeMarcus Ware. I could be completely wrong, but I probably am. But we talked about this, and I tried to make an argument for Russell Wilson being the best quarterback. And, I wasn't so successful in making that argument, but these games are starting to, increase, his viability and his talent and show everyone that he is something to be thought of. He's not an afterthought anymore.
Well,
you don't think of the defense first. You think of Russell Wilson, then the defense.
Is anyone doing more with less than Russell Wilson is right now? Like I said, you can't name the people. He doesn't have a tight end. He doesn't have big marquee passing options other than Percy Harvin. He really doesn't.
I think a lot of credit has to go to the scheme that they play, too. He's not throwing the ball a ton. He's thrown the ball, 100 times this year?
Yeah, he had 24 pass attempts last night.
So
18 of them he completed. That's efficient.
That's fantastic. He's very efficient, and he knows how to run the ball. That's hard to stop.
I have a feeling we are going to be hearing a lot more about Russell Wilson and seeing plenty more from him coming up in the future. And coming up after the break, it's time for Jonald's Mailbag, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Jonald's Mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Welcome back to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. It is time for everyone's favorite part of the day. It's time for the Radio Universe with Matthew Footer. Didn't I say I was going to give you a segment? Are you prepared for the segment, Footer? He didn't.
Is Jonald's Mailbag a planet in the radio universe? Is that kind of how it works?
Obviously.
Like we stop off at planet Jonald's Mailbag?
Why are you asking these inane questions that you know the answers to? Obviously, it is a planet in the radio universe. Well, I didn't know if it was
a planet or a nebula or something crazy like that.
God, I can't even believe
it's like the comet. Is it a comet that just keeps on blazing a trail?
It's the asteroid from Armageddon.
Oh, so you're going to kill us all with Jonald's Mailbag?
Correct.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful.
Unless
I got the answer for everyone.
Ben Affleck?
We'll never know.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. That is
never know.
Thank you for this existential thing you just threw out. We'll never know.
We're like one tiny atom in our thumbnail.
All right, and we are moving on after that horrible thing that just got said. Let's jump right into Jonald's Mailbag. If you want to be part of Jonald's Mailbag, tweet us at SFL Show. We'll take any of your questions, and the really bad ones are going to be part of Footer's Mailbag.
Perfect.
All right, Footer's Universe Mailbag? Is that what we call it?
When does that show air? Midnights? on
Yeah,
Sunday.
It's just one question at midnight on 105.5 The Team. We haven't approved this with them yet. We're just going to throw it on the air. We know how.
It's only on in the Twilight Zone. You know that, right?
It's true.
Yeah, that makes
an
sense. We're
alternate
not allowed
universe.
to say that. We're not allowed to sing the music. We have to pay royalties, so don't do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. We have to pay for that.
Show's freaky, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I
All
guess
right,
I'll be fired.
let's jump into it. Simon G writes, the NBA just announced a new TV rights deal that is in the billions of dollars.
Cool.
What is next for the NBA now that this deal is in place?
They're going to make a lot of money. That's what's next.
Okay, wow. Thank you for pointing out.
And moving on.
9 years, $24 billion. What's there to talk
You know
about?
what?
They made a ton of money.
You know what? As some athlete who I forget, they're going to be able to put food on their tables now. Who said that?
I thought it was.
It was Latrell Sprewell who said that.
That's who it was.
I'm going to be able to put food on my
There you
kids'
go.
tables.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think is next? They're going to make a ton of money off of this. And actually, what everybody is talking about, from what I read, is the fact that in 2016-17, we're probably going to have a lockout.
That's what I'm saying. That's where I'm questioning where is it going to go. That's where I assumed this
fine.
question was heading.
That's fine. The NBA just got paid a ton of money, and the players deserve their cut of the pie. So
Okay.
when they're
This is why I don't understand the whole give the players their cut of the pie. I'm going to go a little heel here with this. They did get talked down to from 57% of the revenue to 50% in the last CBA.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, if the teams were actually losing money at that point because of whatever, some of the teams just weren't making any revenue. You're going overall in the league. You're not just saying, "Oh, Team A made billions of dollars, Team B lost $1 billion." They actually average all that out with the taxes and all that stuff. So. If we're going, they're not making nothing. That's what I'm trying to get at here. They're still getting 50% of the revenue. Obviously, they can't just go, oh, well, since we made all this money, we want all of the new revenue.
No, but
that's not how it works.
No. But the question is, are they still going to get 50% now that there's more money coming in? And no, they're not. That's just a fact.
They're gonna try to bump that up. Obviously,
They are going to. I don't think that's a question. I think if they're trying to hang on to 50 or 51 for whatever the heck they actually have, then they're gonna do that. They're not gonna just take a technical 8% pay cut or whatever. I'm just throwing a number out there. I mean, the NBA is one of the most profitable organizations in sports, and rightfully so, because they've done such a good job of marketing their product. So the players deserve their money. I don't agree that. I don't agree with the owners when they say, no, we're not making any money. You're making plenty of money. There's no way that you're not making money.
Well, considering these teams, several teams have sold for billions, considering the LA Clippers were what, $2.1 billion or $2 billion?
$2 billion, and the most that a team got sold for was, I think, half that, right?
I think it was the Bucks.
1.2 or no, the Bucks got sold
the
for
Bucks
like
were like 900.
Yeah, they were under $1 billion, but the most a team I think had gotten sold for was like 1.1 or 1.2. That's all I'm saying is there's no way that these teams aren't making money. And the NBA won't release financial records. They won't release financial information. So that whole argument, that's just public opinion that they garnered. They garnered public support for that. Until you show the numbers, I don't buy it at all. I don't buy it that a bunch of rich guys are sitting at the top saying we're not making anything. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I mean you have owners like Mikhail Prolikov is looking to sell off his share of the portion of the Brooklyn Nets. That's supposedly going to be going for over $1 billion. So he, just for a share, not even the whole team, $1 billion.
And that makes sense now that this TV rights deal is in place. That's even more lucrative for whoever wants to buy in. If you buy it for $1 billion for X amount.
Well, and they were the least. They lost the most money out of any team last season by a landslide.
Well, you know why, right?
Yeah.
Because Mikhail Prokhorov was a moron and thought that spending like 10 times more in luxury tax than any other team has ever spent was a good idea. For a bunch of old guys. That's exactly what he did.
So, whatever. I think this is fantastic for the NBA. The players are going to get their cut. And this is all about, and it all brings us right back to the fact that LeBron James only signed a 2-year deal. So,
yeah,
he's going to get his.
I think it's funny. He spoke out today saying we're going to do the right thing to make sure we get he's trying to be the outspoken leader, even though he's not the head of the NBA Players Association. That's actually Chris Paul. And Chris Paul is more of the quiet behind the scenes. I don't need to go to the media and say that's why he's the leader and not LeBron James.
Yeah, well, I do think there's a negotiating tactic to winning public opinion. So I like Chris Paul in that position better than I do LeBron James. I think that Chris Paul has a little less on his plate.
Well, I think he's well liked in the media by pretty much everybody. Can you think of anybody who just doesn't like Chris Paul?
He seems like a pretty great guy.
It always works out for professional sports leagues when you don't have the top guy being the guy representing them, the players' organization.
It's surprising that Chris Paul is the guy.
Yeah, honestly, for years for football, it was Troy Vincent played former Eagle, former Bill, and good player, but nowhere near the top guy. And the NFL, look how much they've taken strides the last 20 years with their players, and even though they've kind of taken a step back between their lockout and whatnot, but.
Yeah, I'm just really hoping this does not end in a lockout. When there's this much money getting thrown around, man, just figure it out. You're all good. The salary cap is clearly going to go up in the next 2 years, right? It's going to steadily increase, and then when this TV rights deal goes in, I'm pretty sure the cap is going to just go nuts. It should at least, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. Everyone's going to be on the table. Maybe new deals for a lot of people. It'll be fun. I love NBA free agents. It's one of my favorite times of the year. It really is. You don't care.
No, I don't.
Why do you hate basketball so much?
Because it's a sport for a bunch of girls.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry. You can't touch somebody without getting a foul. So.
Oh man, I can't do it.
Kind of like the NFL now.
As soon as your pinky gets touched, oh my goodness, I can't shoot a basketball. You know what they do in hockey? They ask, "What's a pinky?"
They break it off.
Yeah, and then they get out there and they play like a man.
Yeah. Speaking of that, hockey starts on tomorrow.
Yup, man sport.
We're going to be talking about hockey tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll get your predictions, Nick, or we won't bring it up at all.
Thank you.
I don't really know yet.
I appreciate it.
I probably won't bring it up. All right, let's move on. Ken M. writes, the St. Louis Cardinals continue their postseason domination in Game 3 against the Dodgers. Can they beat Clayton Kershaw twice in 4 games? Before we actually get to that question, should Clayton Kershaw be pitching on 3 days rest after he just got lit up?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
You can't start anybody else. You just have to go with the guy that got you here. Clayton Kershaw's their guy. I mean, even if he fails, well, now we have a different question to ask in the offseason, but there's no way after the season that Clayton Kershaw just had, there's no way you can't pitch him in this game.
I dug up some stats regarding guys who've gone on 3 days rest. Over the past 10 postseasons, 20 starters have gone on 3 days rest. 5-5 with an ERA of 4.73. Only 6 of them have made it past the 6th inning. And guys over the last 20 postseasons on short days rest are 18-35. However, Kershaw started last year against the Braves in Game 4 of the NLDS on short rest, and he only gave up 3 hits. So he's definitely the guy who can succeed in this situation.
I was going to say, I think he's the outlier in any of these numbers or stats. It's one of the best pitchers in the last X number of years. We could be looking at one of, after all said and done, one of like the best 10 pitchers ever. We don't know. He hasn't been at that point of his career yet.
Sure, definitely. I mean, this is going to be a tough game for them regardless. St. Louis, they know how to play in the postseason. We talked about this yesterday. When you have a team that has postseason pedigree, Colton Wong came up with a big hit last night.
I like Colton Wong.
Yeah, I know. Well, he was kind of a GOAT in last year's playoffs, so it's good to see, but it's one of those things where baseball is a team sport. Everybody on the Cardinals is clicking.
See, we just talk about this whole built to win thing. They went out and quietly got John Lackey, and he put up one of probably the best postseason outings he's ever had. It was
fantastic.
That was a pretty great outing for him, especially against a Dodger offense that can be extremely potent, except in the playoffs they just don't know how to hit.
I think the biggest question for the Dodgers is where are they going to get their offense from?
Not that guy who got benched tonight. He's certainly not playing.
Well, that's shocking, but at the same time, he's been terrible in this series.
Yeah, he has one triple that everyone's talking about, but other than that, he struck out 8 of his 14 at-bats in this series.
You don't have any time. There's no more time. You have to do what you have to do.
I mean, didn't I say something about Yasiel Puig being a cancer in this lineup literally like 3 days before the series started? He's kind of
a cancer. How though?
He doesn't
from a character standpoint.
Yeah,
and not from an offensive standpoint.
I know, but I feel
he should be one of the more powerful hitters in the league.
Should be.
But he's failing right now.
That's what I'm saying. Did he do anything in the playoffs last year? I don't remember.
I think you have more leeway when you take a powerful hitter out versus when you take a starting pitcher.
Oh yeah,
out.
you don't want to do that.
I think they have Andre Ethier. He could be good against righties. Who knows?
Where's my boy Scott Van Slyke? Killer in the regular season.
There's no lefties in the Cardinals lineup.
I love him so much.
Yeah, I know, because he was $4,000.
Yeah, that actually might be why I picked him multiple times for my value play of the day. But when you're in the playoffs looking for clutch hitting, you don't go for a value play.
Nope,
it's not how it works. I want to quickly get your opinion on this because I know Nick loves this question. Steve Z writes, the Chicago Bulls and Washington Wizards managed to get into a preseason scuffle last night. That's right, I said preseason. Is this becoming a legitimate rivalry that could develop over the years? I love scuffles in the NBA. They make me happy.
Yeah, I know. It's just, a bunch of sissies slapping each other. It's
all right.
It's great.
Let's be fair. This fight was between Jimmy Butler and Paul Pierce because Paul Pierce, whatever, hard foul. But then Paul Pierce decided to, in his infinite, veteran wisdom, go over and trash talk the guy he just basically wrapped up around the neck, and then poke Joakim Noah in the face.
That's a fight in the NBA?
Oh, no,
I want to see some blood, okay? That's what I want to see. I want to see two guys squaring off at center ice that don't like each other, that have a lot of respect for one another, even though they don't like each other, and then just going at it, beating each other to a pulp, and getting out of there, raising their fists of glory.
In the NBA, once every 10 years, we get one of those fights.
And then they beat the fans up.
I didn't mean those kind of fights. Do you remember Charles Barkley against Shaq was a great fight? Chris Childs against Kobe Bryant was a great fight. Alonzo Mourning in the
Charles
fight.
Oakley.
The fight that ended up with Jeff Van Gundy getting stomped on. Yes, the coach got stomped on.
See, the biggest difference in the end, you just can't fight when you're standing on 2 feet because you could actually really do a lot of damage. In hockey, at least you're on skates. There's a little bit of a disadvantage there. At the same time, hockey's for men. That's all there is to it.
Wow, that is a great way. Shots fired.
No, I love it.
Wait.
And for women that are better than basketball players.
That is true. All right, coming after the break, we're finally there. It's Week 6 waiver wire talk, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick, only on The Team.
Wrong. Yet again, it is Jonathan, Nick, and Matt Footer. Woo! I'm pretty sure Zach will be back tomorrow unless he is sleeping somewhere.
He's not still in Las Vegas?
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
I think he's alive.
Maybe we might have a memorial show for him tomorrow. I'm not really sure. Anything could happen.
Well, I have to apologize.
Oh, no.
I do. I have to apologize.
What did you do?
I think I offended female hockey players all across the world because they are definitely stronger than basketball players in every sense of the word. I apologize to all the female hockey players out there, my sister included. You are all very much stronger than all the basketball players in the world because they're a bunch of sissies.
I thought
there was going
to be a legitimate thing,
a
heartfelt apology.
That's very heartfelt.
Oh yeah,
that's
heartfelt.
Because I would pick, if I had a strength competition, I would pick a female hockey player over a basketball player.
See, this is going to end really poorly for you when we actually have an NBA analyst on the show, and you have to tell him that you're apologizing for what you said about his score.
No, I'm not. Why would I do that? It's very simple. Do you think that a female hockey player would not get back out on the ice after she broke her arm? Yeah, she would. She would just say, I need to be out there for my team.
I dated a girl who was friends with the entire Syracuse female hockey team. Like, I hung out with a lot of them. They are tough women. They were very tough women.
Absolutely. They don't get carried off the court. Oh, I broke my ankle. Oh, my God. Oh, wait a second. No, I'm not. Just kidding. I'm back. Glorious return. Glorious.
I think he's insulting Paul Pierce right now.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Paul Pierce just poked Joakim Noah in the eye, and that was his fight. And then he backs up with his fists up.
Yeah, he did.
And he's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Or like Carmelo Anthony when he punched somebody and ran away. Yeah, that's real manly, dude.
That's hood.
You're tough.
That's hood right
You're
there.
tough.
Oh, man.
Get out of here.
We need to
get on the ice. Drop the puck.
Oh, my God. Nick has completely gone off the deep end on the Star Fantasy League show. We're probably going to have to apologize in the media for this. I apologize in advance for what Nick just did.
I am sorry, hockey, for having to be associated with basketball.
All righty. We got to get into the Week 6 waiver wire talk. It's what everybody clamors for on Tuesday because guess what? Waivers on starfantasyleagues.com for season log leagues processed tonight and everywhere else, but mainly on our site.
Especially me because my teams are ravaged by injuries.
All right, if you're ravaged by injuries, we got a bunch of people we want to talk about. It's actually running back heavy this week. We'll get to those guys, but I wanted to start with the quarterback position because I actually think there's some gold that you can find for backup and or like 2 QB leagues or deep leagues where you need some, because bye weeks are happening. Obviously, you need to have a strong backup, and I think there's some strong candidates this week off the waiver wire.
Are these all new names, or are they basically players that are
these are guys that,
not owned heavily?
Not owned heavily, guys that you can definitely get. Because, I mean, there could be guys that we talked about last week who are still available because, let's be honest, they were low pickups this week.
Well, I think Kirk Cousins is one of those guys. I know I'm riding the Kirk Cousins express.
After that poor week he had, I'm sure there's people who are just casual, fantasy players, and they go, "Oh, he had a bad week, dump him." So you could be right.
I believe that did happen actually.
And if it did, you're an idiot because they still play in the best division for a passing team like that.
You got to keep him. He's going to be fantastic for you in fantasy.
But other guys off the waiver wire, man, this Austin Davis kid, this St. Louis team has been down in basically every single game, double digits. And he's throwing 3 touchdowns, 300 yards in these games.
Yeah, I mean, he's got great targets there. Obviously, the number one guy is Brian
Stop with
Quick.
that great targets. Don't you ever mention Kenny Britt and great targets. I know you're about to say Kenny Britt's name. Yeah, you were.
Not Kenny Britt's name. All right.
Yeah, you
you
were.
caught me.
I was going to say Brian Quick. Brian
No,
Quick's
he
got a fantastic
he already said. That's why I said don't you dare mention Kenny Britt or that Tavon we traded up to get you as a pick, Austin.
No, but
Horrible
he's got a nice tight end there, Jared Cook, who is
That's
a
true.
pretty good player. And, when Zach Stacy stays healthy, he's a nice, back.
And hold onto the ball.
Yeah,
and
that's
those
true,
things.
too. So, a guy I'm definitely looking at is Mr. Uncle Rico himself, Kyle Orton.
Why are you doing
serious?
that?
Are you
serious?
Are you kidding me?
You
Why
said
are you even bringing this up right now?
2 QB leagues.
Okay, 2 QB
Oh,
leagues.
God. Okay, so add him in the deepest of deep leagues.
There you go. Okay, 2 QB leagues. I'll name 3 guys I like better than him. Mike Glennon,
Yep.
Austin
Probably
Davis,
gone.
Yep.
and Kirk. Mike, you think Mike Glennon is gone in 2 QB leagues right
Most
now?
of my leagues, yeah, he is.
Wow. Really?
All right, well, fantastic. I don't know why you're picking up Kyle Orton, though.
Yeah.
He was the first Buffalo Bills quarterback to throw for over 300 yards since Week 10 of the 2012
Nick,
season.
These are the Buffalo Bills
Dear
fans,
Lord.
the
Yeah.
irrational
Oh, yeah,
Bills fans you're
absolutely.
talking about.
Absolutely. We're talking fantasy football here, so if you
Exactly.
just want to
Even
calm
in a
down for
losing
second.
effort, he's still going to end up putting up yards. At
The
this
only
point.
time I would ever pick up Kyle Orton is in a fantasy beard league.
Yeah.
If you got points for ridiculous facial hair, I'd have Ryan Fitzpatrick and Kyle Orton as my 2 quarterbacks, and then I'd win.
I think there are better options out there. You can pick them up if you want because you're probably going to be the only one doing that.
Yeah.
But
If you have the last waiver priority in your league, you could probably sleep easy. You're going to get Kyle Orton.
Here's the problem. Like, a lot of these guys are already gone. A guy I talked about last week was Drew Stanton. I'm sure a lot of people picked him up last week. But, he's still available. He had a terrible week last week, but I don't...
Palmer's close to
all right,
coming
well,
back,
think of it this way. Let's say you're in a 14-team 2 QB league.
Which
so
I am.
everybody has 2 QBs. Do people have more than 2? Some have
some.
maybe
Yeah,
have
it should
3?
be 3.
Okay.
I'm starting
Well,
Sam
let's just
Bradford
say-
in that league, by the
Let's
way.
just say that you only have 2 QBs on your roster. That means that 28 quarterbacks are gone. I still wouldn't take Kyle Orton with the 29th pick. I would find whoever else is there, and I would start them over Kyle Orton.
Mike Vick?
Your boy Geno
Sure.
Smith.
Yeah, I would start Geno Smith over him.
All right, let's move on. Actually, the last thing I wanted to quickly talk about is what the heck is going on in Tennessee at quarterback? Jake
Yeah, I don't
Locker,
know.
again, every season has an issue.
Yeah.
He's brittle.
No, he is brittle, and I think the train is coming to a halt in that situation. I mean, they have Mettenberger on the bench. They might turn to him. They could turn to Charlie Whitehurst.
Stop it.
No. I'm just saying for right now.
Charlie, check down.
I'm just
Get outta
saying
here.
for right now because the Titans QB situation is a mess. They're going to have to figure that out next season. Locker's in a walk year right now, so I think it's pretty much over for Jake Locker. And it really stinks because we saw Justin Hunter kind of break out,
Yep.
and we definitely could have seen a lot more from that passing offense.
They
this
definitely
season.
have 2 of the best young wideouts in the league right now.
Yep.
And they need
And
somebody
they're
who can get them the
completely
ball.
underutilized. Yep.
I mean, I've heard that Mettenberger has a cannon, so
Well, he was great in college, but I mean that you have to be able to translate all of your skills over to the NFL.
well, it is nice that he came from the SEC. He was at LSU, right? So
Yeah.
he came from a program where you're playing basically NFL defenses every single week.
Yep.
So if that translates, I could see him doing something.
That's
for that
just
team.
tough because he was 3rd on the depth chart behind Whitehurst, so you have to say, well, is he really NFL ready?
Yeah, but it could have been a thing of, oh, he doesn't really know the NFL system yet. Or it could have just been, we don't really want to put him out there and throw him to the Wolves yet.
If Locker does play, Hunter is a great guy to have on your team. Great guy. Could be a flex play every week.
Yep.
But it's just because he can chuck the ball downfield.
And you saw the diversity that they can do with Kendall Wright as well. He actually was the leading rusher for the Tennessee Titans on Sunday at 47 yards. So they're trying to get him involved anyway in the offense. I think he had 94 catches last year. So he's a big PPR guy especially. So
I kind of wish Zach was here for that comment because he's still waiting for Bishop.
He's on
Sankey.
the Sankey prayer train is what we're calling it at this point. Please, like people are praying that he produces something.
Yep.
All right, we got to move on to the main event of waiver wire for Week 6, and that is the running back position because everybody's out. Everybody is injured. San Diego, Donald Brown went down. Denver, Monty Ball went down. Giants, Rashad Jennings went down. All 3 of these guys will miss time.
Yep.
So probably the guy that's going to miss the most time will most likely be Monty Ball. It might end up being Rashad Jennings, though, because sprained knee for running back, not positive again, but sprained groin, also not good.
Yeah,
So.
I've seen mixed reports as far as how long he's going to be out. Could be till week 9 after their week 8 bye, which would not be great. But if you have Andre Williams as his backup, which you should,
that's one of those guys that he was drafted as a serious handcuff because everybody knows Rashad Jennings has injury problems, and he wasn't a proven guy. Yep. I personally was high on him, but I knew he would get injured, so I drafted Andre Williams with him. If you didn't, or if somebody drafted him and went, you know what, Rashad Jennings have a great year, let's drop him. If he's on your waiver wire, I think he is the number 1 option on the waiver wire this week. Yep. Absolutely.
I mean, I'd say you have a point there. Brandon Oliver looked fantastic, though.
Yeah, but that's a thing where Ryan Matthews will be back, and then it'll push him a little bit down, and then if Donald Brown is back and healthy, that'll push him even further down.
So you think Andre Williams could take over the starting job?
Not only that, I don't think that there's anyone behind him to even worry about if Rashad Jennings... So if Williams does something, he has 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks, right? That's where he's at right now. Mm-hmm. So if he continues to produce in Jennings' absence, maybe when Jennings comes back, the worst that happens is they get a split of the carries. At worst.
I think Rashad Jennings is the workhorse in New York. I understand what you're saying, and I get that point, but I think that Brandon Oliver has a potential to actually factor into the game plan because Danny Woodhead's out. He's done. So even if Ryan Matthews comes back, Brandon Oliver could turn into the Darren Sproles, and he's wearing Darren Sproles' number. Go figure the irony there.
Yeah.
So I think that he could factor in more, whereas Rashad Jennings, even when he was healthy, Andre Williams wasn't really that much of a factor. 2 weeks ago, he was more of a factor because the Giants were ahead, and they were saying, you know what, we're going to keep him out because we don't want him to get hurt. So that's really the only production that we've seen out of him.
Yeah, I have to tend to agree with Nick on this one. I think Oliver's the top guy. Going against a Jets defense, which was only allowing 63 rushing yards a game, he was able to get 114 in basically, 3 quarters, 2.5.
And Donald Brown got like 2.1 yards per carry, right? He was pretty
well,
awful.
Yeah, he was done after that. So.
And, when Oliver came in, the Chargers were pretty much dominating that game. It wasn't that crazy at a score at that point either. So he wasn't coming in garbage time like Andre Williams did last week. 2 weeks ago, and was able to produce. So I think Oliver's obviously the top option this week.
All right, we didn't even mention at all this whole Denver situation because honestly, I have no idea what to think about this. Ball's out. C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman, it turns out, are the same age. For some reason, I thought Anderson was younger.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, I just thought it seems like Hillman's been in the league for a while. He keeps getting his chance and just kind of not really doing much with it. That's why I think C.J. Anderson has the more upside. He actually was playing more than Hillman last year.
This is going to be a tough one because I think they're going to go with a committee approach. And even when Monty Ball comes back, I'm not so sure that he's just a clear-cut number 1 guy.
Why should he be? He hasn't done anything.
Exactly. So, I think this is a tougher one. If you're desperate, I think right now Ronnie Hillman is the edge just because he's going to have more opportunities. But I agree with you. I think C.J. Anderson has the breakout potential. So it's really, it depends on your situation. If you need a guy that's going to get touches right away, I think Ronnie Hillman's the guy. If you can afford to wait and see, C.J. Anderson's your guy.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, and we tend to agree that Anderson's probably the guy long term. It came out earlier today. Most likely, Ball's going to miss at tops 3 weeks is what they're expecting. So, again, it's going to be tough to determine how much production you're going to get out of this guy. One other guy to factor in is actually Juwan Thompson as well. He came in, I believe he scored a touchdown late on Sunday. Peyton Manning supposedly likes him on, inside the goal line and stuff. So, if he's hawking these touchdowns from these guys, how productive are they going to actually be?
That's why it's a tough situation altogether. I think you got to hope for the best that you can get either Brandon Oliver or Andre Williams.
Yeah, I'm staying away from this entire Denver backfield. They scare me, mainly because how many touchdowns has the Denver running game scored this season? It's been all Peyton Manning, all Thomases. I'm just lumping the Thomases into one
all
human
Thomases,
being now.
Yeah.
Right? Is it not all Thomases all the time in Denver right now?
I mean, after what we saw on Sunday was just purely Demarius and Julius and Peyton Manning.
Well, now that Welker's healthy. Now that he's not doing club drugs, we got him to throw into the matchup too. So, Denver, you're amazing. But we're not done talking about the Week 6 waiver wire. Coming up after the break, it's wide receiver talk, tight end talk, and we're wrapping the show up. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
We are back, and it feels like all we've been doing today is talking about injuries. So if your season-long team has just been plagued by injuries, guess what? You can play daily fantasy football at starfantasyleagues.com. We have over 16,000 in guaranteed prize pools for Week 6, and I have a bonus code for you. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
It's free 14 FREE14. It's a 100% bonus to $2,000 and an $11 credit. You can play in our 6K guaranteed for free this week.
For free.
That's pretty sweet.
That is pretty good, right? Yeah. And also, I have to say, because Nick's going to punch me in the face, tomorrow, NHL contest guaranteed prize pools start on Star Fantasy.
I'm a hockey fan, too. You're not scared of me?
Yeah, okay. I could take you. Him, I could take out to dinner.
I'll be right behind you, folks.
Yes!
Yeah. Oh, yeah, great. Thanks for that. All right, so we were talking about the waiver wire before the break. We got through everything. I wanted to quickly touch on two names who I don't think are all that relevant, but apparently sites are listing them as waiver wire pickups this week. Anton Smith in Atlanta. He has 4 touchdowns in 5 games. He's old. Why are people? He's had big plays in each game.
Well, I think it's a desperation ad.
Yeah,
I really do, because Mike Smith said that the Falcons should be giving him more. They should, really. I mean, I hate that they're doing this whole 4 rotation thing. It doesn't make any sense. Jaquiz Rodgers is nothing in this offense. He is useless. Steven Jackson's okay between
Where's
the tackles.
Devonta?
And, Devonta Freeman. I mean, it's just a big mess. Antoine Smith has been ripping off enormous plays, though. So it's like, how do you not figure out a way to get this guy involved?
Yeah, double-digit fantasy points in 3 of the 5 weeks so far. You know, in super deep leagues, I think he's a desperation move, but I think he's something that you have to consider.
And I'm desperate, so I definitely have him on one of my waiver wire.
All right, if you're desperate,
lists.
are you interested in Benny Cunningham? Because Zach Stacy's apparently got fumbling problems, and you know what happens when there's fumbling problems.
I think the big question was whether or not he was going to play this Monday night, but I think he is going to play.
Yeah, having that Monday night game helps, I think.
Benny Cunningham has been a name that's been thrown around all season long, and unfortunately the Rams stink, and they're throwing a ton. Zach Stacy's been getting 15 carries a game, so it's like, do you really want, if that's the kind of production that you want, 15 carries a game? All right, great.
Yeah, there's a reason Austin Davis is topping 300 yards every game. It's because he's tossing the ball 45 times.
Yep.
You're going to get yardage even if your team is terrible and you have terrible options named Kenny Britt. Mm-hmm. Kenny Britt.
Oh, can we talk about him?
No, we're not talking. All right, we got to move on to wide receiver. I only have one name written down. You can talk quickly about Kenny Britt, but I think the big name and the big steal here is Odell Beckham. This is his first game. I know he's a rookie, but we've seen, especially with Rashad Jennings going down here, they're going to need some extra oomph in the passing game, I feel. They have nobody behind Andrew Williams. Nobody.
I got to be honest, I really only focused on the running backs this week because I have so many needs at that position. But, I mean, if the offense really is opening up and the players are becoming more comfortable in that system, then, he's definitely going to be up there. He could be the number 2 option because Ruben Randall hasn't been breaking out.
I mean, heck, even who the heck was the number 3? Percy Parker, Pringle, whatever the heck
Preston Parker, yeah.
Preston Pringle Parker, I don't know his name.
Beckham garnered 5 targets on Sunday. Randall actually was having a lot of targets thrown at him. He had double digits, I believe, last week, but just hasn't been able to, complete the catch. Getting the end zone was huge for Beckham on Sunday. I think if you can get 5 targets and a touchdown on him each week, I think that's pretty.
That was
pretty
Terrence
good.
Williams last year, and everybody fell in love with him. If you get 44 and a touchdown every week, okay, I'm cool with that. That's great for a flex option. I'm okay with it. All right, last guy I want to talk about really quickly, Tim Wright. I think this is time.
Yeah,
it's time for the 2 tight end situation. We said it could be easing into the offense, and he's eased in now.
I think you made a great point yesterday when you said that maybe the trade, he didn't have enough time to learn the offense. He was only out there for 19 snaps. So I'd like to see that go up, but I think it will. Yeah, definitely time.
I mean, 5 catches, 85 yards on 19 snaps and a touchdown. That's pretty productive.
Pretty good.
All right, if you're not yet part of the offense and you want to learn, play on StarFantasyLeagues.com. Daily fantasy football, Week 6. We have over 16,000 in guaranteed prize pools and a 100% deposit bonus to $2,000 and an $11 credit using free 14 FREE14. And like Footer, if you are a big fan of Kenny Britt on the waiver wire this week, you're just doing fantasy wrong. Take it easy, guys.